This week, someone lost the list and didn't check it twice. An arm wrestling match that no one cared for, and once again, Brock Lesnar proved what an utter garbage talent he really is. It's time for WGS-TV Reviews, Monday Night Raw for the week of October 24th, 2016. Hey, YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because VR is definitely time to work.
Hey guys, it's the Insane Machine Cody Hawkins, and you're watching WGS-TV.
Greetings, YouTube. I'm quickly back into another episode of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. I am your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer. Got a couple of people I want to introduce you to. First off, you know him as the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, what's up?
I wonder if I'm on Chris Jericho's list. Oh, well. We'll buy the shirt, though.
And ladies and gentlemen, a very special guest from the Vinnie Mac Show here on YouTube. Vinnie Mac is here. Vinnie, how you doing?
Sorry, I had my mic muted. I'm doing good, man. You?
I'm doing just fine. With the return of the iconic Goldberg last week and the following announcement of Brock Lesnar returning to Raw for the following week, I, for the first time, was interested in what Lesnar and Heyman had to say about Goldberg and possibly when the match could take place. So what did Lesnar and Heyman say and do in response to Goldberg from last week? Well, before we answer that question, let's talk about Raw. Start off with a very distraught Chris Jericho who revealed to everyone that the list had been stolen. Kevin Owens would come out then after a promo by Owens, out would come Stephanie McMahon, and the segment basically turned into a promo for the main event. And as I had expected, Seth Rollins came out with the list in hand, which then turned the segment into a promo for Rollins and Owens for the Universal Championship at Hell in a Cell, and would conclude the segment with Rollins telling Jericho if he wanted the list, that he would have to come and get it. Vinny, in your personal opinion, do you think that Seth Rollins is getting himself over properly as a face for this whole scenario he's doing with Kevin Owens?
Yeah, I think the way they're building him up, they're probably like just redeeming him as a character. Because, you know, I don't know if you felt the same way, but him as a heel just was getting stale. I know a lot of people were saying that. And I think the way they're building it up, it's kind of, you know, they're doing it right, as I would say, so it's working.
Yeah, in 2015, for the better cracks of 2015, he was basically the top heel in the company. So could he make the transition and be a face? That's another story. Being a heel is one thing. Rollins has got that down pat. But being a face, transitioning and taking the success you had as a heel into a face is a completely different story. Up next, it was Enzo and Amore taking on Karl Anderson, and as I had figured last week on the review, Enzo and Big Cass will be taking on Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows at Hell in a Cell. Amore and Cass were interrupted before they could finish their usual spiel by Anderson and Gallows, which basically was a promo for their match. The actual match itself was okay. The finish of the match happened like this. Gallows was on the ring apron, which distracted the referee, and when Anderson stuck his head up from the ropes, Cass had the big boot on him, allowing Enzo to pick up the win. Not much of a build, Will, for them, considering it was just 2 weeks ago they started working this angle, wouldn't you say?
Okay, and I just had a talk with James for the Big Easy, and this is, how can I put this nicely? Gallows and Anderson, I think, need to be more up there. But as far as Enzo and Cass, who needs a damn microphone? They're still over with the crowd. As far as the match goes, it could have been a little bit better, but Enzo did get the win. My thought is going into Hell in a Cell, it's going to be a lot brutal. It's going to be one soft match for Anderson and Gallows, because I got Enzo and Cass winning at Hell in a Cell.
Can somebody please explain the logic behind why the two teams involved in the Tag Team Championship match at Hell in a Cell are having a non-title match on your go-home show edition of Raw? This is a move by WWE Creative that still just baffles me. I mean, Vinny, am I the only one who has an issue with this?
It's just writing. The writing.
They got control monkeys writing in crayons.
Pretty much.
Now, for what it was a good match, and as expected, the differences with Sheamus and Cesaro were apparent. since they are the new odd couple, as I have put it several weeks ago. But the finish of the match was really good. Big E pressed Kofi over his head, which normally turns into a crossbody spot to the outside for Kofi. Cesaro caught him with a Cesaro uppercut on the way down, which left Big E open for the Brogue kick by Sheamus, giving the new odd couple the win, which I'm okay with. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us here on WGS-TV again for the video match show is Osiris. Welcome, how you doing?
What's up? What's going on, guys?
Well, we get a little bit of a echo from your side.
Got the echo.
Oh, we got the echo? All right, hold on. I'll be right back. All right.
So while Osiris is doing that, them getting the win on the go-home show, Vinny, to me, just means that Cesaro and Sheamus are not winning the titles at Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, they're not going to win, right?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. And 9 times out of the 10 on the go-home show, when your challengers go over on the champions, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to win the tag team titles at Hell in the Cell. And Osiris, that was one thing we were just talking about, is the fact that with Cesaro and Sheamus winning the match on your go-home show Monday Night Raw just tells me that they're not going to win the titles come Hell in the Cell.
Osiris muted his mic.
Yeah.
I want to get Osiris' take on that.
I'll fill in for him. This is where this odd couple between Sheamus and Cesaro is not going to last that well, even though when he was in India, for those who got Twitter and Instagram, he was well over as a babyface. Could I see Sheamus again as a babyface? Not really, but I mean, like Billy said, folks, it's an odd couple thing. You won on Raw. You don't see them going with the belts at Hell in a Cell, so they're going to go back to one-on-one when this program ends.
Osiris, if Sheamus turned face, could Sheamus and Cesaro work as a tag team?
As far as the Sheamus turning babyface thing, I think there's a possibility for him to do that. Now, as far as the tag team thing goes, I don't see it. I see the WWE keeping the belts on the New Day and having them beat the record of the
Demolition.
Record held by Demolition.
Demolition, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was trying to think of their name. I just see them beating Demolition's record because they want to bury that shit.
Yep, and they would have to hold the titles until December 13th for that to take place, and then more than likely at the TLC pay-per-view, which is the Raw pay-per-view that month, more than likely they'll probably have New Day drop titles to whoever they're working against from that time. Now, backstage, Chris Jericho was desperately looking for the list of Jericho like a heroin user was looking for his next fix, and would run first into the Shining Stars with Titus O'Neil, who hadn't seen the list, and then Jinder Mahal showed up and tried to help Jericho get centered with some breathing exercises, which Jericho then turned into a chance to call Mahal a stupid idiot. And again, Vinny, I've said this for the longest time on here. Chris Jericho as a heel creatively is the best thing WWE could ever do.
Oh, yeah, just Chris Jericho doing anything is the best thing WWE could ever do. He's possibly the best just mic worker, I would say, aside to The Rock and Austin.
For the first time in quite some time, we had an arm wrestling match on a Monday Night Raw. Dana Brooke wanted a rematch with Bayley, who was sporting and selling a shoulder injury due to last week's match. Needless to say, the fans in attendance last night were pissed. With the chance of boring and this is stupid, I can understand why. Fans wanted to see an actual match, and instead got an arm wrestling match. Brooke, after beating Bayley in the first match, decided to give Bayley another arm wrestling match, this time switching arms. And during this match, Brooke attacked Bayley, to which Bayley responded with the Bayley to belly to Dana Brooke to end the segment. Osiris, I'm going to say this, I will not be surprised to see this match, if not on the kickoff show, then added to the main card for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, probably on the kickoff show. They need to I don't know. They're making Bayley really look weak lately. So I don't have much faith in Bayley right now. And as far as Dana goes, I mean, I'm glad they're taking her away from Charlotte. I'm glad they're separating that that thing, because that was just a disaster. So I see it on the pre-show maybe.
Is it just me, or is Dana just not in the same physical shape she was when she was in NXT? She looked like she was much more built and had a better physique in NXT than she does here on the main roster. But that's just to be something that I'm seeing in nobody else. Backstage.
No, she definitely looks a little more. I was noticing last night. She looks a little more chunkier.
Backstage, Chris Jericho was still looking for the list when Stephanie appeared in frame and gave Jericho an ultimatum: either wrestle in the main event or face suspension. Now, if you guys remember last week when I talked about Bo Dallas attacking Curtis Axel, signifying the end of the social outcast gimmick, finally, I guess WWE is going through with it, because Axel was out there last night in different gear running a match with Bo. Now, the overall match content was decent, and what a surprise, because I can't think off the top of my head the last time either one of them had a decent match on a Monday Night Raw.
And gladly, they have Curtis Axel as a face in his hometown of Minneapolis. I like the fact he gave acknowledgement to his grandfather, Larry the Axe, and Mr. Perfect, And the fact is, the social outcast thing wasn't going fucking anywhere. I'm sorry. But look what came out of it. Curtis Axel's now a face. Bo Dallas looks like he has a Donald Trump banner that says "Bo Leave" and Bo, which probably must have took $10 backstage to make. But I mean, Bo did get the win. But I like Curtis Axel as a face. I want to see how WWE will utilize Curtis Axel, because Bo Dallas, he's not doing much as Axel should right now.
And a point of reference for everybody out there: Bo Dallas is still undefeated with his new gimmick. Just bringing that up there. After searching for the better part of the show, Chris Jericho finally found his list. Unfortunately, he also found Braun Strowman with it too, who was expecting to see Sami Zayn on the list before handing it back to Jericho. They did all of this just so the fans could hear Jericho say, "You've just made the list." Vinny, I have never heard a crowd pop so loud for one statement before in my life, especially when Jericho says, "You've just made the list."
That catchphrase is over. That just proves it.
Yep, definitely. And again, it goes back to what we said earlier about how creatively golden Chris Jericho is as a heel. I just love that. Up next, it was the Golden Truth taking on the Shining Stars. So this angle wasn't squashed last week during the six-man tag match? I guess creative's keeping it going just to give these guys something to do. And the finish of the match was the Golden Truth hitting the golden lie detector, as I put it, on Primo to pick up the win. Mark Henry on the outside made Titus O'Neil and the Titus brand once again look like a chump, which as of late, Osiris, really hasn't been all that hard to do.
Well, I mean, the purpose of this match, for one, I guess, the main purpose of it was to set up the feud between Mark Henry and Titus, is what I'm assuming. I really just didn't care what was going on in the ring at that point.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one there, Osiris. I gotta agree with you.
I mean, the Primo and Epico. I mean, please God bring like Kalisto or Carlito back. They can do something with that. And the Golden Truth. I mean, the whole thing with the bobblehead going across the screen with the doing the Sesame Street thing.
Oh my God!
It's a facepalm moment, to say the least, and they do it every time the Golden Truth has an entrance. But let's talk about something that was actually enjoyable to watch. One of the segments I truly enjoyed last night was the contract signing between Charlotte and Sasha Banks, with Mick Foley as a moderator, and who really helped put the segment over, and who better to do it than the person who helped put the Hell in a Cell match on the map during the Attitude Era. Mick Foley was the perfect guy to do it. Sasha Banks and Charlotte were on par during their promo, and having Foley out there to sell the dangers of what the Hell in a Cell represents really sold it for the first ever women's championship match to take place inside Hell in a Cell. Now, Will, I've said it many times, they're not going to do insane, unnecessary spots inside or outside the cell. but it's still going to be a really good match to watch.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Mick Foley put Hell in a Cell on the map, and I don't expect to I could talk right. I don't expect to see Charlotte doing anything extraordinary. Maybe Sasha will do a couple of things, but Sasha just got a back injury, so I don't expect Sasha to do much either. But the first time we're going to see two women in Hell in a Cell, I hope WWE gets the ratings it deserves, because if it doesn't, it's going to be sad. But props to Mick Foley with the whole thing that he did. I mean, you're not going to get any better than moderator in Mick Foley.
Well, Cyrus, what was your reaction to what Mick Foley said during the promo last night?
I really didn't care for the segment. To me, it looked really like they were reading from cue cards. And so I just kind of, honestly, dude, I muted it during it because I just couldn't take it no more. I was like, no. And I've got my own thoughts and everything about the Hell in a Cell match anyway, and especially the women main event that
Yeah, on Sports Entertainment Tonight, which is the live stream I do every Thursday, I kind of voiced my opinions a little bit, and on this week's show, I will definitely go into more detail as we do break down the Hell in a Cell show this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central Time right here on WGS-TV. Up next, it was Rich Swann taking on the Brian Kendrick with TJ Perkins on commentary. I have to say, I was impressed with Perkins on commentary. He was much better than I thought he was going to be, and putting over his title match at Hell in a Cell with Kendrick, he did it quite well. But however, I did notice something, Vinny. Ever since the Cruiserweights debuted on Raw, I've noticed that Creative has kind of toned down their movesets. Have you picked up on that?
What, on the Cruiserweights?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't really watch the Cruiserweight stuff. I mean, you can even ask Osiris. We kind of don't really pay attention to that.
The Cruiserweights.
Yeah. It was...
I agree with you on that one. They've kind of toned it down a little bit. It was just kind of in your face at first, and I'm glad to see it wasn't main eventing this week, because I don't think the cruisers to me are mid card. And that's where they should be, like in the old WCW days. You had the cruiserweights kind of were mid card. And I'm a Brian Kendrick fan, so I'm glad to see that Brian Kendrick's kind of in the spotlight with this. TJ Perkins, great athlete, but I don't care for the gimmick. I don't care for his entrance at all. I think it's kind of cartoonish. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good cruiserweight match on the pay-per-view.
Well, be that as it may, Rich Swann and Brian Kendrick still worked a decent match. Now, with Kendrick in a title match this Sunday, you would figure WWE would want him to look strong by going over on Swann on the go-home show, but that didn't happen. Swann countered the captain's hook into an Oklahoma roll pin. Yes, unlike Michael Cole, I actually know move names, and got the win. Now, why WWE would not make one of their number one contenders, look strong going into a title match this Sunday is beyond me.
And again, me and James were talking about this, why Kendrick not winning kind of makes you wonder that, is Kendrick done, or are they going to have some type of surprise for their match at Hell in a Cell? Now, on the other hand, Rich Swann is a good performer. Too much dancing, but good performer. But I'm looking forward to this match, though. And to answer everybody's question, I noticed it last week that the Cruiserweight moves were toned down a little. It goes back to last week. So I hope WWE is not messing this up, because right now it's pretty good to don't mess this up.
Up next, it was supposed to be Braun Strowman taking on Sami Zayn, but Strowman got on the mic saying that Zayn wasn't the competition he wanted and attempted to walk away. Zayn got a few spots in on Strowman after a slingshot crossbody to the outside, Zayn was caught and flung into the security railing by Strowman, who then walked away from the match. Vinny, since Strowman walked away from this match, what are the chances of seeing this match happening possibly on the Hell in a Cell kickoff show?
It'll probably be a big chance. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't see. I don't see it being a main card match for some reason. It's probably just going to go out there and have Zayn get squashed by Braun Strowman. That's probably the only thing we're going to see happen. We might see Zayn, have a little bit of a competition, kind of like what Sin Cara did with Braun Strowman, but possibly nothing further beyond that. That's, for some reason, I just don't see it happening.
What I wanted... All right, go on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, what I wanted to see is Strowman just get built up and then just get squashed by Goldberg.
Speaking of that, with Brock Lesnar's return to answer Goldberg last night, a lot of people were expecting to hear just exactly when this match will be taking place. A lot of people have been speculating over the past week that the match will be happening at Survivor Series since it's one of the big 4 pay-per-views of the year. But would we get that from Lesnar and Paul Heyman last night? No! Apparently all they did was a half-assed response to Goldberg and played up to the crowd. Half were chanting Suplex City and the other half were chanting for Goldberg, and then they left. What a waste of my time, to be honest, because I was expecting more out of the segment, and Lesnar and Heyman went out there, and personally, Osiris, in my opinion, laid an egg.
Well, I actually read earlier that Vince actually got mad at that last night, and he's the one that cut that segment short with the music because the crowd wasn't chanting Goldberg like he wanted to. They were actually, because they were in Lesnar's hometown, of course they're going to get the resounding Suplex City chants that they did, and they were just expecting Brett Lesnar to go out there and get shit on by the Goldberg fans, and they just didn't show up, so he just cut the segment short.
Now for the most pointless, useless main event in Raw history. The triple threat match featuring Seth Rollins, or as Chris Jericho said in the promo before the match, Seth Owens. Hey, if people want to make fun of Daniel Bryan for the Apollo Creed crack, I think I can do the same for Jericho and Seth Owens, and Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. The match, as expected, was worked more as a handicap match rather than a triple threat match. Despite the fact the general consensus from the IWC is that they didn't give 2 shits about the match, I still think it was an okay match. The finish of the match was Rollins double powerbombing Jericho off the middle ropes and pinning both of them to pick up the win. After the match, Owens and Jericho assaulted Rollins, which honestly was expected, but still a decent match, all things considered. And Will, like I said at the onset, one of the most pointless, useless main events in Raw history.
Well, I'm going to probably say respectively, you and probably maybe 500,000 people who watch Monday Night Raw want all that time back, but unfortunately that won't happen because that turned out to be basically one of the most unbearable matches that 2016, and what the fuck. But Seth Rollins did get the win, so he prevailed going into Hell in a Cell. So what happens from there? It was a main event clusterfuck.
Not to mention,
it's now time to go to the fans. Oh, go ahead.
Not to mention that the finishing move there was a botch. I mean, he didn't. When he was coming off with Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens just kind of landed awkward, and you see him kind of scoot over a little bit where he could get pinned. So,
oh God.
Well, it's time to go to the fans on social media and find out what they said. And somebody from Twitter sent in their response to Monday Night Raw. Katie Lawson at Einstein Replica on Twitter said this: "It was better than last week, but still Raw levels of utter shit. Compared to SmackDown Live, Raw hasn't been good at all. This week had some good segments, but then covered each one in utter shit. You had a great main event with Jericho and Seth, but you got 2 hours of Jericho looking for some paper. You got a match with Braun and Sammy, which was hyped up, but ended shittily and had no reasoning behind it. You have way too many tag teams fighting with no relation to each other, making the tag team division look less like a division and more like just scattered individuals. Every segment could have been made to be decent, but instead Raw managed to tarnish each one. I just hope Hell in a Cell doesn't suck as much as Clash of the Champions." And you know what, Katie? I gotta agree with you. I hope Hell in a Cell doesn't suck, because Clash of Champions was terrible. I'm hoping Hell in a Cell will be at least somewhat decent, because they're still making history with the first ever women's title match inside Hell in a Cell, but I just don't hope that they don't take it and just really just run it into the ground. That's my only fear about what they could do this Sunday. Overall score on Raw this week gets a 3 out of 5, with best segment of the night going to the Charlotte versus Sasha Banks contract signing, with worst segment of the night going to Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman for utterly wasting my time and doing basically nothing to push their angle with Bill Goldberg. Will, over to you, your overall score and your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw. Will, your microphone. One more time, Will.
I was trying to get on the list. I wanted the list, damn it. No. All right, I'm gonna give this a 2.75. I'm sorry. Not even. I'm gonna go with the Golden Truth versus Shining Stars as my best match. Only because I think Rich Swann could have did better in his match against Kendrick. Worst match, yes, I agree. The main event should have never happened. And honorable mention to Chris Jericho. He was gulping at the fact that Braun Strowman had the list, and it looked like he was scared for a second.
What a guy that size, who wouldn't be? I mean, seriously, the guy looks like he can eat you in 2 bites. Wouldn't you be scared of that guy?
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that guy at all.
All right, so the first of my 2 guests, Vinny. What we like to do, Vinny, on here is get your overall score on a like 1, 2, 3, or 4 out of 5, and your picks for what the best match or segment and the worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw.
Oh my God, it was. I could say probably the lowest denominator, probably a 0.5. It was, I don't know, it was abysmal. There was the thing that I thought was going to be good was the Lesnar. I mean, even Axel Osiris, we've been hyping it up all week, and it was nothing. Like you said, it was perfect, nothing. There was no substance at all. So yeah, just the whole thing was just a bad Raw. It was terrible.
Yeah, and it's a typical go-home show as of late with WWE, in my personal opinion. Osiris, what about you, my other guest? What score would you give Monday Night Raw, and what would be your pick for either best or worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw?
Well, I was fixing to say the same thing you just said. This is a typical go-home show lately for Raw. Oh God, you know what I mean? It's a face palm from hell. I just want to pull my hair out. I give it a 1 out of 5. The best segment for me, or the best match for me, actually, and people are gonna be shocked to hear this, is I really like the New Day versus Sheamus and Cesaro. I thought it was a good match all around. Not saying much, but for what we had there to work with. Again, I guess I'm going to agree with everybody else. The worst thing was the Paul Heyman segment. Paul looked like it was being forced, and that's not Paul Heyman. I mean, Paul Heyman can usually make a diamond out of a turd, but I guess this turd was just too dirty last night for even him to work with. So I'm gonna have to go with that, and hopefully when Goldberg comes on next week,
he saves it.
We'll get a one-on-one kind of confrontation, and they can pull the turd out of the fucking toilet.
And not only that, but an actual confirmation as to when the match will actually take place between Lesnar and Goldberg. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week. What we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw? We want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit up that like button. Vinny Mac and Osiris are on the Vinny Mac Show literally every day here on YouTube. Vinny, tell people about what you and Osiris do on your show.
We talk wrestling, sports, music, politics, movies, everything. We have a hodgepodge. We have no boundaries. We talk about it all.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead.
Sometimes it ends up being just a party.
Yeah, you guys know.
And the link to Vinnie Mac's show will be in the description box below. Don't forget, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you guys have any questions, be sure you check out the links in the description box below. Don't forget, I'll have a couple of videos in the annotations at the end of this video for you guys to check out as well. And if you guys want to see more of your old friend, the Wrestle Gamer, and everybody on here with wrestling talk and awesome gameplays, you know the way to do it. You got to hit that subscribe button down below. So with that being said, for the Bay Area MVP known as well, Vinnie Mac and Osiris from the Vinnie Mac Show, I'm your friendly neighborhood wrestle gamer, and I'll see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys! Some super crooks are incompetent, some are comical, and some are just weird. And the follow-up to the League of Regrettable Superheroes, author John Morse presents dozens of... See what it looks like now.